This is Margaret in Windsor. My father's Edward the Eighth, and this is my father, King Edward the Eighth. He looks nothing like the imposters. Well, I guess I'm having trouble getting that on here. It's King Edward the Eighth. It's Salisbury, Frank Salisbury. The artist, anyway, trying to get this up and what's going on with me here. This is my Uncle George, Elizabeth's father, and this is Mrs. Roosevelt, Eleanor's Roosevelt's mom, and this is Elizabeth's mom, George's wife. This is Roosevelt, who appointed JFK's father, Joe Kennedy, as ambassador to England in 1936, specifically to take down my dad. He wouldn't go along with the Freemason Illuminati, the global mafia, so they took him down with character assassination and installed his brother, Elizabeth's father. Sorry for the problem here. This is 1939, the year I was born, and they're planning my kidnapping. Having a ball, aren't they? They always have. Now then, I'm going to go ahead with this. This is the double, or one of them, that married Wallace Simpson, the American spy, in 1937, the same year George became illegal monarch. This is Mrs. Roosevelt shaking hands with Wallace Simpson, October of 41. Right after, well, that was earlier this spring, they kidnapped me and handed me over to Lionel Dempsey. This is me. This is George here. This is me. And that's the Dempsey family. And by the way, they had to go out to get the photographer and the cameras to do that. Anyway, this is Elizabeth and all her brood that have lived off of stolen. Any way you want to put it, it wasn't her position. She's a war criminal. So what if somebody just came over, let's say, who's a good one? Just came over from from Alabama, let's say, or anywhere in the United States, and decided she wanted to be Queen of England, and you would welcome her in, because that's what it has been done with this woman. Wallace Simpson, let's say she decided she wanted to be queen. I mean, she thought she was going there. She's a fake. So you get what I'm saying, anyway. So, I was going to focus on this, April of 1984. And yeah, I'm having problems here where I'm living. I've been here for a good bit. I've managed to last through it, and it's getting cold here. So anyway, I don't know how it's going to go. I'm allergic to toxic fumes, and seems like I need my brain to function. I don't need to inhale toxic fumes. Everybody's heard of kids that go and inhale fumes and they have problems. I don't choose to inhale them. The stuff coming out of the air condition is poison. And I'm going to quote a Virginia State Trooper who his wife said to me, and I've been telling it, except people can boo-hoo. That's not true. Up on the mountain when I run up there, they've since closed the campground. It was the National Park campground up near the top of the mountain where the star is and all that. Anyway, I'd gone up there to run from the fumes. You have to have a place to live, at least everybody else does. And I'd go up there when I was soaked with toxic fumes. And you control my environment. The Americans have, the law enforcement, etc., the Illuminati. And they made my life hell, and what it does to your lungs and what it's doing to the body and soul and brain is Unbelievable. Anyway, I'm going to go back to this. When I met Mr. Flint, he had been shot in Lawrenceville, Georgia in 1978, March the 6th, by a program shooter, and I was living at Moonraker Apartments in Marietta, Georgia, near Atlanta, a suburb of Atlanta. And Lawrenceville is almost a suburb now. But anyway, he was shot by a program shooter and paralyzed waist from the neck down. Now, I don't guess he minds me saying this. Larry Flint's insides were blown apart on the sidewalk of Lawrenceville. How did he survive? Or did he? Anyway, I was taken there in the campaign. This is in '83 when the Dr. Congressman supposedly went down in the KAL. And this was done, I'll say it again, in April of '84. This is after the U.S. Congressional in October. I was flown out there twice. He says here that I know who was responsible for his shooting in Lawrenceville. And so I'm in the campaign and I'm flown out here. Okay. And he, I think I showed what I was going to show there. When I got there, he said, you don't have to tell me anything. I know everything there is to know about you. And he told me, he said, they were going to send you back a vegetable. Well, when he said that, I knew. I didn't know what he meant by back. Now I do, back to England, a vegetable. He knew about what had been done to me on April Fool Day of '80. I mean, there's no way that I should have even lived for a moment after that. And then to live through it and try to recover while I'm trying to work and taken across the state line back with Lina Dempsey, this woman who killed her twins, and they put me there with a psychopath family. And that's me. I think I've shown this at age 3. I'm sorry this is not better, but I'm not feeling too good since the air is, what? They'll just say when I'm running from one place to the other, if I ask them, beg them to fix it. And I've taken pictures of all this. I mean, it's unbelievable, and I put them up, and it's done me no good. I mean, you know, it really hasn't. But when I've asked anybody over the years when I'm running from here to there and there to here and up the mountain and down the mountain, well, it works, doesn't it? The air heating works. Well, it turns on and the air comes out. It's just that it's poison air and they know it, so joke. They don't do anything to fix it. So they run me from here to there and make me look like a Looney Tune. Hey, I'm only the Queen of England, and you know what? I don't hear any press knocking down her door like they do the King and the Prince of Saudi Arabia, and telling her that she should cough it up and tell who I am really and who she is really, that she's Illuminati. She's not even the real monarch. She knows about my father and mother, who's an American, Claudia Ruth O'Keefe. She knows Wallace Simpson was an American spy and married a double. She knows all this. I don't hear anybody demanding Trump go over there and confront her and lock her up and haul her ass off, which it should be in prison. The whole bunch of them well, her father's dead and her mom is a Rothschild. She's deceased. So unless there's God, they've gotten away with all this. Then there's Elizabeth's father. Well, I said that, and Elizabeth and Philip and Charles and Camilla. And then there's William and Kate and Harry and Meghan. Now, back to this, if anybody's still with me here. I'm allergic to toxic fumes, by the way, and I started to say this a while ago, and I maybe drifted off here for a minute from the subject, trying to get it all up here. You've seen kids or know of children, youngsters that go out and they inhale chemicals and get high or whatever they do, and it's deplorable to me. I can't see how anyone would ever do it. It can cause brain damage and everything. I mean, death. So you get where I'm going. I haven't inhaled, I have begged to inhale clean air, or at least halfway clean air. So I'm going to drift from this right at the moment, if you don't mind, what's going on here. And I've been here a good while, but you can't stay long. I need my brain to function. So in case you want to say, well, where's she going with this? Take in consideration that I put this up as a diary of sorts so that it would be evidence of what happened in case it never goes to court or is never told. The free press is not a free press. They're free to delete it. They're owned by the Illuminati that kidnapped me and installed George, the illegal six, and Elizabeth, the whole brood. And when I got I'm going to jump around again. When I got to Mr. Flint's, he told me, he said, I know everything there is to know about you. You don't need to tell me anything. They were going to send you back a vegetable. Now I'm going to go to this part. This is during this campaign that I'm talking about in '83. I just read from that he's talking about here. This was sent out in April of '84. I ran for president, but I ran for U.S. Congress in October of '83, a few months earlier. So I want to tell about that. I was interviewed by one reporter, and that's all, and his last name was, I believe it was Harper, and he was from a local station in Atlanta, but he was stationed out of Rome, Georgia. He was an investigative reporter. So I went to him. Well, he was came up there. He interviewed me a couple of times, and I remember there was a Hustler shirt had been sent to me, and I showed that. And I don't remember him saying anything derogatory. Remember, this is just prior to going out to Flint's and learning about my real identity. My father's Edward VIII, married to Claudia Ruth O'Keefe, and the takedown of my father, my birth, and the kidnapping, and bringing me to Moulton, Alabama. Now then, later, he wanted any information that I could give him on Larry McDonald's wife, Kathy, because she was running for his seat to replace him. He had supposedly gone down in a plane, crashed the KAL August 31st of '83. That's what threw me into the campaign, and I had written about him in a book, same book about, well, he says this, Larry Flint does, who's responsible for his shooting. Larry McDonald, George, I've forgotten now. Okay, who is that? Larry McDonald and George in Georgia. Peggy is honest and supported her for, well, anyway, it's down there. Senator Thomas Murphy was in on it, and Culver Kid, and Cover-Up Kid. Okay, back to here, and I know I'm rambling now. I'm having a rough time staying here now. I won't be here for long, I don't suppose. So where am I? His name was Harper. And they've used certain names in all this. The U.S. Attorney's name was Harper that issued the letter in response to the FBI investigation, which was ongoing, sent to me. My father's birthday, June the 23rd, only this is 79 that's sent. Of course, my father was, when I was born, he was 45, my mom 40. So, anyway, Harper was the U.S. attorney, and it was signed by the assistant U.S. attorney. Name just popped up, the odd thing. There was two. There was a Baker, James Baker, that, well, he was in the cabinet of a couple of Reagan's, I think, and along with Ed Meese when he was there with, who was president then? You can go back and look him up because he was on the staff. James Baker was of a couple of them. This is a different James Baker, just the same name. but he's assistant U.S. attorney who signed for Harper. Now then, they've used Harper in the investigative reporter from Rome while he's out of Atlanta, and he's covered it at the campaign, and he wanted any information I could give him about Kathy McDonald, because she was running a candidate. Well, anyway, I don't know what happened in it, but the last thing I know, he said my name was Mud, and he was very angry. I never knew what he was angry about or anything. Maybe they told him he wouldn't have a job any longer if he helped me. But anyway, when you, I guess that's about all I was going to say. When you're sending people to the president and all this, and the press is gun-ho, that's all you can hear, is sending someone to see to the Saudi king and prince, and accusing them of murder and dismemberment and all this of a journalist. Uh, Look at me if it's ever told. And God, what you have done to me, the 18-minute gap, the global government's control by the ones that kidnapped me and took down my father. Henry Kissinger is still alive. He was the one on the Watergate tapes out of the White House that were subpoenaed, and it's on there where they're trying to lobotomize me. And Victor Gonzalez is still in practice, I think, and his son's a doctor out of Atlanta, Georgia. And I was told, using metaphors, that he killed 2 women while I was being threatened, while I was drugged and taken across the trolley tracks. And this clinic was still there in College Park in November of '82. That I was taken there, and if the Brits didn't come across across the ponds with whatever ransom was asked, they would lobotomize me. They had drugged me. And this is on the Watergate tapes. I live to die another day. So then I do the book. In April Fool Day of '80, they tried to kill me again, and I shouldn't have lived. So the press has known all this. They've also known my name about the takedown of my father. They're the Illuminati. The global government's out of New York City, under the Illuminati under the guise of the United Nations, where the Rockefeller headquarters is, and where the Hillary Clinton and the campaign and all this was funneled, some of it into there. And you should hear about the other stuff I found out. It's odd how I found it all out, and I got a feeling this has gone out, so I'm going to quit. There's no need of going further. I'm being run through the mill right now, and I was remembering that my name was Mud. When do you tell my true name? Anybody here in the press? Anybody want to walk up to Elizabeth and ask her to cough up the truth here? And maybe put her under arrest?